multiple women in your life, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of an impact did that have on your sexual discipline and fidelity in a relationship? Grappling with sexual discipline, I would liken it to, nobody really helping me understand the power of the penis. We've all been alluded to the power of the pussy, but there's very few conversations that you have about the power of your penis outside of you can make a baby with it and don't make no baby. Well, the power of the penis, once you're able to sexually transmute that energy and divert it into something else, that can also make you millions, because it's really all energy. And a lot of people, the mistake that I made is I made the biggest mistake because I was seeking relationship and romance instead of seeking connection. Men are seeking connection. Men are going to marry based off of the connection. Men are not really going to marry based off of aesthetic. They're not going to be married based off of how much money she made, because we've been psychologically programmed to not count a woman's money. So what women don't understand is when we're pursuing them, what they think we want is sex and a relationship and all this other stuff and the white picket fence and the dream that they were sold. When in all actuality, men are seeking a connection with a woman so that we don't have to talk. We don't have to explain. We don't have to go through all of the conversations and podcast topics and to try to help them understand. Because when there's a true connection, some things just go without saying. She's already in alignment. She knows, she's been groomed and taught. I'm going to give you an example. The biggest thing and the biggest problem that we have as men, I'm going to take you to a silly movie that had a whole bunch of jewelry in it. I want y'all to go back and think about the movie Coming to America. And as a young man, a prince, you wake up in the morning and you have beautiful women, bathers, that wash you up every morning and brush your teeth. All right. So you wake up, you have breakfast with your mother and your father. They let you know, hey, it's time for you to get old. You're getting older, and now you're about to have a wife. Your wife has been prepared for you from the time that she was born. She's been raised to serve you. Now, pay attention to how James Earl Jones, everybody's dad, was like this. He was like, he let him know. He was like, what is it that you need, my son? Isn't she beautiful? Do you like her? He's like, but Dad, I want a woman that likes me for me and all this here, right? And then the mother said, oh, Joffrey, let the boy go with it. He's in love, right? Now, what we know as Americans and American black men, there's no man on the planet Earth that wouldn't want a woman that looked as beautiful as Vanessa Bell Armstrong, standing on one foot, barking like a dog, and her whole purpose life was meant, and she's been taught to do whatever you like. Now, speaking on the grace of men, once a woman subdues her ego, and the opposite of ego in the feminine is pride. Once women let go of their pride and understand that the biggest honor is in serving your husband and your family as a woman. And the older generations of women knew that's what brought honor to the woman. So to serve your man, women have to understand that if you got a dude that was raised by a single mom, he's been serving his mom and his sisters and every woman in his life, his entire life. And none of these women ever served him. They may have spoiled him with things and stuff and pampered him to keep him close so that he would be emotionally committed to them. But they never wanted to see no woman serve him because that's going to threaten their position in his life. So the father, Joffrey, said, your bathers, was you having sex with your bathers? Because I do. And then he said, isn't she beautiful? You don't like her? So now he goes to America to work at a bootleg fast food restaurant because he's seeking romance and he wants to feel something. And his choice in his woman was based off of what he felt, versus if you and I had that choice every day, all day, we're going to choose logically. No, I'm getting the woman that's going to say whatever you like. Because the biggest problem that we have as men is getting our women to align with our vision for our provision and our protection. They want the vision and provision and protection and don't want to take care of the erection. You understand? Because the erection is what's the connection to the universe that makes and brings life to the planet. But because people don't understand divine science, you understand, and they don't study these things, and they have never been taught to look into the deeper aspects of sexuality and how it's the most powerful sexual force is the most powerful force we have as human beings on the planet. And when you transmute that energy, that's what makes millionaires like Zuckerberg, Gates, and all these guys. Because nerds that's coming through college, they wasn't sexually active, so they had to find something to do with that energy. And so, as young boys, if you don't have your father around you that's telling you to respect your penis and helping you understand the power of the penis, your mom is just going to tell you put a rubber on and don't make no babies. Your dad is going to tell you take that energy and transmute that into your dreams, your goals, and your visions so that you can have provision when it's time to pick your woman. But most of us as young Black boys, we didn't go through that, whether you had your father in the home or not, because the generations before us was taught to crash out. And one thing that I want to touch on concerning the grace of men is I've heard women say all the time, once upon a time in the early years, women didn't have rights. They wasn't allowed to work. They wasn't allowed to get homes and all of these types of things, right? And that's a historical fact, especially Black women. Well, the question becomes then, well, one thing I ask is, well, I wonder if my grandmothers ever loved either one of my grandfathers, especially if we're considering the fact that they really only married them. And one of the things that they had to do was marry a man so that they could have a house because they wouldn't rent houses to women. So did these women actually really love our grandfathers, or were they basing their relationship off survival? Because if
Yep.
you basing it off survival, then that means they just did the logical thing to get together for them both to be able to survive, and then just ultimately ended up having some kids. So then those grandmothers or grandmothers taught the daughters, go get your education, go to college, and get your money so you ain't never got to depend on no man. Because through the courses and paths of life, women gain their independence. So the generation, my mother's and them generation, got to see their freedom and their promised land once women got granted their rights. So now, once they have their rights, now they have a choice to say whether they want to put up with a dude or not, because now they got Section 8, WIC, they got all of these things that the government is telling them, you don't have to listen to him. You don't have to be oppressed by no man. We'll help you with your rent. We'll help you do this. And women let you know every day how dispensable we are. Like we're dispensable. Use us up while they got us, and then when they decide they don't like us no more, they throw us away. And then we're not emotionally prepared to even deal with that breakup. And this is where guys crash out, become abusive. Most often they were abused by their mothers. Most of their whoopings and discipline came from their mothers. So once they grown, they feel like they ain't finna take no shit from no woman. And if they don't check that emotionally, they will crash out. And this is where the impact of sexual discipline, and when you're not thinking and using your penis properly, this will have you crashing out.
All right, folks. Appreciate you sticking with me to the end. This has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go get the book. And most importantly, I will see you beyond the algorithm because that's where life actually happens.